The Shark Deck.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Dane Cook caught up with Philly Weekly. Philadelphia Weekly has a tremendous comedy column. It's really great. A.D. Amorosi is the guy who writes it, and he asked Dane, considering all the success you've had, are you still hungry? Dane said, I still have the same sense of ambition. It's more about an inward journey at this point and what I can share with fans and those who continue to check in with me. A.D. had a nice segue talking about sharing. You were one of the first comedians to use social media. We all know that story. Dane said, that's my wheelhouse. I love talking comedy and creativity. What gets me kicking is the hows and whys of promotion. Getting publicity in a world that is very corporate, the question becomes, how can you independently find your fans and an avenue in which to share art? So when I was coming up, the allure was of me sitting in California and going through this new window where I could talk with a guy in Delaware or a girl in Tampa and share ideas that were funny, quirky. I was at the tip of the spear at the moment. Today it's different. You're up against backlash, naysayers, rubberneckers who just want to cause trouble. So now you're a referee doing a lot of defending beyond the art. Still, there's one thread that remains. You want to be in people's pockets with ideas and content for people to engage in. Mission critical on this tour was, as I was putting together new ideas, was what were people responding to? Look, the moment is heavily politicized. Regardless of what side, red state, blue state, I found that people still wanted to escape. What can I say that someone on a daily, nightly news comedy show or during a talk show monologue hasn't said brilliantly and poignantly? That's not my lane. So as this tour started, I'm still about things that are happening observationally. I'm just not pushing any kind of agenda down anyone's throats. Then they got into, and I didn't realize this. Maybe everybody else knows this and I forgot. Dane Cook auditioned to be Captain America in the Marvel movies. Dane said, what I didn't realize then, I wanted to bring a lot of the humor that I recognized from the comics to my performance. I love Michael Keaton, one-time stand-up comedian, as Batman. I'd seen comics play these darker cartoon characters and still bring levity to the part. That's what I was hoping to do. Taylor Tomlinson told Forbes, I was a really shy, scared kid. I was really, really anxious to go on stage for the first 5 years I was doing this. But once I was up there, I felt like myself. I felt like, oh, this is who I actually am. This is who I want to be. Over the years, I got closer and closer to that, and now I feel like I'm the same person off stage that I am on stage. At first, I just couldn't be that person every day, but I could be that person for 10 to 15 minutes on stage. Taylor Tomlinson spoke about her previous specials and said, I wanted Quarter Life Crisis to be about being in your 20s and not knowing who you were. I wanted it to feel consistent throughout the whole thing. Look at You was me being able to do all that, and that was great and really rewarding. That being said, it was also really sort of emotionally exhausting by the end of that tour. It was just a lot every night to sort of stick to that landing and presenting the material in a way that wasn't going to make people uncomfortable while also making it clear that I was fine and I was okay. It just took a lot to do it. And then meet people after shows and talk about it more. I wanted this new current hour to be lighter and sillier and probably just a little more fun for myself and for the audience. Right now, I like what the hour is. Quarter Life was kind of about not knowing who you were, and I think this hour is kind of about knowing who you are, but not knowing why your life isn't where you thought it'd be. Everyone has a different age in their head of this is what I'm going to have, X, Y, and Z, and this is when I'm going to have everything figured out, but life doesn't work that way at all. Everybody in my life in their 20s and 30s, they may have their dream job, but they're not married. They might be married, but they don't know if they want kids, or they have kids, and they don't have the dream job, or they got divorced. So that's kind of the overarching theme of have it all. Hey, bad news for longtime listeners. I was hungry, and I'm like, you know what hit the spot? George Lopez Tacos. You remember that during the pandemic? George Lopez made a huge deal about George Lopez Tacos. Well, I went to look, and the website no longer exists. If you go to lopeztacos.com, it doesn't respond. I went on Grubhub and tried to order some George Lopez Tacos, and it said, not available on Grubhub anymore. If you are new to this, George Lopez Tacos was created by George Lopez and Next Bite. George Lopez Tacos was a delivery-only restaurant with locations across the U.S. The menu included La Chingona and Las Mas Cabrona, with various meat choices, chips, salsa, guacamole, and churro bites. George gave quite many interviews about it, and looks like it didn't work out. Sorry to hear that. Bill Maher is in Tahoe tonight. He says, I don't like careful. I like bold. I like honest. I like surprising. If you ask me what I'm most proud of, that would be it. Survival. Every week is a test. Sometimes people say to me, how'd the show go? If I haven't been canceled by tomorrow, then it went great. I could be canceled very easily. Anybody could, but you don't stay on TV for 30 years unless somebody likes you. There's definitely an audience for what I do. It's not like anything else. If you want to hear real honest talk, not tribalism, different points of view, people who talk with each other, listen to each other, there are not a places to do that. It's certainly a more dangerous place to be out there now. When I was starting, there were no cell phones, so you could be as politically incorrect as you wanted to be, and nobody would know about it. We always hear the notion of crossing the line. Comedians would say, how do we know where the line is unless we cross it? The comedy club was a place where everybody understood you were experimenting. Now I hear a lot about comics who say something and somebody tweets it out and that's it. I'm kind of glad I came up when I did. Bad news if you're a fan of Barry, the 4th season will be its final season. The 8-episode fourth season will debut on HBO Max April 16th.
Welcome to How to Tickle Yourself. I'm your host, Duff McDonald.
And I'm your co-host, Matt McButter. We'll be talking to people who specialize in different ways of inhabiting their own consciousness, from artists to yoga teachers to scientists. We've even got a professional magician.
We're going to ask them questions like, what is consciousness? Why does it tickle? And what is magic anyway? Is it just card tricks, or is it the fact that your little speck of consciousness is part of a perfect possibility machine?
Find us wherever you get your podcasts and at storicmedia.com.
One of my favorite things to do on the podcast is play the game that we're about to play, which is, hey, pretend we were at a comedy festival. What shows would we go see today? Today, we're pretending to be at South by Southwest. Let's take a look at the schedule. 4 o'clock, funny thing about breaking up the boys club. Join Comic Relief US for a special event on the intersection of gender, comedy, and social impact through a stand-up performance by comedian, writer, and actress Joelle Nicole Johnson and a panel discussion featuring Abby Jacobson and Sam Jay. The event will address the role of comedy and entertainment as a catalyst for change and how, when done well, can combat, not cause, polarity. 7 o'clock at the Creek in the Cave, The Saturday Show, parentheses, stand-up comedy. A killer lineup of comedians to make your Saturday night special. They include Aristotle Athari, Sam Jay, Mike Lawrence, Yamanika Saunders, Emma Willman. 8 o'clock, the UCB's Ass Cat. Anthony Tamnewick, Matt Besser, John Gamberling, Sandy Honig, Jessica McKenna. You're going to have a hard time talking me out of that, but let's see what our options are. 10 o'clock, Good Trip Live, a night of comedy and psychedelic stories. Steve Agee, Eric Andre, DJ Dogpound, Sandy Honig, Hamilton Morris, Reggie Watts. Join the producers of the hit Netflix doc, Have a Good Trip, for a night of comedy and psychedelic storytelling. 11 o'clock, the Hateful Eight, Roast Battles Tournaments of Champions, Round 1. You're going to have a hard time talking me out of this as well. In round 1, the top 8 roast battlers from around the country will compete to see who advances to round 2 the next night. Tonight competing, Morgan Anderson, Keith Carey, Holly Johnston, Mike Lawrence, Greg Leishman, Lucas McCrary, Brian Moses, Yamanika Saunders, Omid Singh, Steph Tolev, Dan Wicks. So unlike other comedy festivals, not too much overlap here. So here's what we're going to do tonight, friend. 4 o'clock, we'll do Funny Thing About Breaking Up the Boys Club. That'll take us to 5:15. Let's skip the 7 o'clock stand-up comedy show and go to Ass Cat at 8 o'clock. So we get some dinner and some brewskis in between there. Ass Cat ends at 9:15. Oh, I missed one. The Creek in the Cave stand-up showcase is at 9. James Adomian, Tone Bell, Joelle Johnson, Beth Stelling, Steph Tolev. That's pretty good. Maybe they'll let us in late. Let's go to Ass Cat. We'll try to sneak into the back of the Creek in the Cave. We'll see if we get in. If not, more beers, and then we'll make sure at 11 o'clock we're at the Hateful Eight roast battle. That should be a good night of comedy. As I sometimes mention, I'm the writer on a podcast called Palace Intrigue. On Palace Intrigue, we cover the royal family, and by cover the royal family, I mean most days we make fun of Meghan Markle. I'm all about the downloads. I can write a story, Kate Middleton looked nice giving money to a charity and hugging kids, and nobody clicks on it. If I put in the headline, Chris Rock destroys Meghan Markle, y'all click on it. So I play the game. From Variety, King Charles' coronation to get royal parody on the Harry Enfield comedy The Windsors. Have you seen this? It's basically a sitcom about the royal family. It's kind of cute. Well, The Windsors is coming back for a coronation special. The logline, Charles' whole life has been building up to this moment, and he wants the UK's first coronation in 70 years to be a spectacular affair with all the pomp and circumstance he deserves, as does his queen consort Camilla, who can't wait to drape herself in diamonds and fur. Sadly, the UK is in the middle of a cost of living crisis, and Wills, that's Prince William to you non-royal aficionados, thinks the coronation should reflect these more straitened times. The special also promises cameos from Harry and Meghan. Yes, not the actual Harry and Meghan, of course. A suit said, any channel worth its salt has a landmark show with the word coronation in the title. For the BBC, it was the world's first televised coronation in 1953. For ITV, it's the world's longest-running soap, Coronation Street. We at Channel 4 are delighted to announce that we now have our own record-breaking coronation jewel as the heart of our broadcasting crown, the funniest show on telly during a momentously historic week for Britain. And from the Daily Mail, comedian Monty Franklin has defended an Australian term after realizing other countries don't use it. The controversial term, the Mexican wave. Calm down, let him explain. Monty Franklin captioned a video, things in Australia that sound racist, but are not. In his video said, you know, the wave at sporting events that goes around and everybody does, and they have a wonderful time. In Australia, we call that the Mexican wave. I don't know why. There's no need to put Mexican in front of it. He said he realized it wasn't that common when he was watching TV in Australia with his American wife. They said the Mexican wave on TV during cricket, and Mrs. Franklin said, why do you call it that? She thought it sounded funny, but I realized I have no idea why we call it that, and I've never questioned it. It's always just been that. They also call it the Mexican wave in New Zealand. Now, stay with me. Franklin said, it could be from the origins of the wave itself. The first time commentators saw the wave was at the Soccer World Cup in Mexico in 1986, so they started calling it the Mexican wave, and it kind of stuck. However, a comment in his video disputed that research, claiming the wave started in 1979 and was created by Crazy with a K George Henderson in October 1981 at a televised A's-Yankees playoff game in Oakland. Another thing he discovered, Americans have a thing called Aussie cheese fries, French fries covered in cheese. And he said, I've never heard of this back home. I'm going to speak on behalf of all of America. I've never heard the term Aussie cheese fries. Not once, never. And I've been to Australia, not there. Other than my time in Australia, I've spent the rest of my life in America. Not entirely true. I've been to Europe a couple of places, but go with a bit. And while I've lived in America, I've never heard Aussie cheese fries. Have you? Franklin said, as an Australian living in America, I say a lot of things that sound odd and raise eyebrows. Flat white is another one. I have a flat white story. So when I was in Australia, I wanted a coffee and I don't know. And hey, the server's like, what would you like? I'm like, let me get a coffee with milk. And she goes, flat white. And I'm like, huh? And she's like, flat white. And I didn't know what a flat white was. This was before Starbucks introduced flat white, by the way. I'm not that dumb. And I was like, sure. And then it came and it was what I wanted. This was one of my takeaways from Australia. I feel like if I spent 2 weeks there, I'd adjust, because the next day I went for coffee and I just went flat white. I feel like if I hung out a little bit, I'd reset my vowels. Again, my favorite t-shirt I saw, which was bananas are for piranhas. That always reminds me to flatten out my A's. I feel like I could fit in. Anyway, that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow. Who doesn't like vacations? Do you need some inspiration for your next road trip? Are you excited to get out there and explore the world again? Hi, I'm Johnny Mac. My podcast is called Travel is Back. Travel is Back is travel for regular people. We hop in the car, we fly coach, we use our miles, we eat at normal places, we stay at normal places. So what I do is I hop in the car, I grab my portable recorder, and I go somewhere. Season 3 kicks off with a road trip to Key West. You can check out the back catalog. There are popular episodes covering Chicago, Nashville, Vancouver, Seattle, a whole bunch more. Travel is Back, road trips for regular people. Follow the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your shows. These are quick, these are casual, and it's for regular people like you. Travel is Back.